Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Tonight on News 22.
A local man turns a hobby into fun transportation for children.
Los Lunas is expecting an expansion in their Facebook headquarters.
And we'll meet artists who've moved to Las Cruces to make better art.
News 22 starts now.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Selena Quintana.
And I'm Melissa Barraza. A new place to buy a house will soon be available north of Las Cruces.
On Tuesday, county commissioners approved the step that will lead to the 44-lot subdivision called Vista Rio Rancho Phase 1. The area is just south of the village of Doña Ana County. The development will connect to the 30-year-old Marisol Estates. Members of North Valley Neighborhood Association favored the plan but are concerned with the increased traffic. There's another big development on the way to Santa Teresa. A company called Iron Horse Resources bought more than 1,200 acres to expand the logistics business. The area around Santa Teresa is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the state. The Union Pacific Railroad has a unit there, and it's been there since 2012. The unit handles shipments of corn syrup, feed, grains, scrap metal, and other products.
People who live east of A Mountain will soon have a better idea how a major road is being changed. The Soledad Canyon Road Improvement Project is intended to improve Soledad Canyon Road to the Soledad Canyon Day Use Area entrance. It would also widen the roads to include bicycle lanes, drainage improvements, and multi-use paths. The informational meeting is November 28th at the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum at 5:30. Facebook is expanding its data center in Los Lunas, bringing $1 billion investment to the state.
Sasha Leninger of KOAT has more.
The Facebook data center in Los Lunas is now getting bigger.
So we will be tripling our investment in the campus here.
New Mexico will be home to Facebook's biggest data center campus system-wide.
Facebook alone on this 300-acre site will invest more money than the combined total of all industrial, office, and retail construction in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho over the last decade.
Right now, 2 buildings are under construction, but with the expansion,
this will put the Los Lunas campus at a total of 6 data centers, of which we were always crossing our fingers for,
making this an investment of more than $1 billion. Between 800 to 1,000 workers come to this data center every single day. Construction here will keep crews busy until about 2023.
Of those 800, 80% of them from the great state of New Mexico.
The center will have a $2 billion impact to the state and to the metro area.
We're creating one of the most energy efficient data centers in the world right here in the village of Los Lunas.
New Mexico is open for business.
Crews began breaking ground last year. Everything should be up and running by 2023.
So I heard we're getting a cold front.
Yeah, we're actually starting to feel those cold temperatures now.
It's finally starting to feel like fall.
Yes, and Victoria Valderrama is next with weather.
Thanks, guys. This is Victoria Valderrama taking a first look at your weather. Currently in Las Cruces, we have partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 64. Winds coming from the southeast at 6 miles per hour. Humidity at a low 27%. Our dew point sits at 30 degrees, and our barometer reads at 30.04 inches. Today in Las Cruces, we had a high of 76 and an overnight low of 44, averaging out to about 70 degrees. Traveling back in time, in 1999, we had a high of 79, and in 1976, we had a low of 22. Today, we had no rain, so our yearly rainfall stays at 9.81 inches. That's all I have for you now. Back to Selena and Melissa at the desk.
The city of Albuquerque has a new mayor, and that starts the competition for state auditor. State auditor Tim Keller won the Albuquerque mayor's race yesterday. Keller wants to work on crime, homelessness, and a police reform in the Duke City. And now that Keller is vacating the auditor's post, Las Cruces State Representative Bill McCamley wants the job. McCamley is a Democrat, and he wants to continue the initiative started by Keller. McCamley has served House District 33 in southern Las Cruces for 4 years.
Detectives are worried about a 15-year-old Hatch girl who disappeared over the weekend. The family of Jasmine Gutierrez found a note early Saturday morning. Jasmine said she has been being forced to leave with her boyfriend, Jose Lopez. Neither of the families have been contacted. Anyone with information is asked to call the police. Hatch police are also looking for a man accused of sexually assaulting his girlfriend's granddaughter. The girl said Patricio Rivera woke her up and made sexual advances. She escaped, then called for help.
In an effort to increase enrollment of international students from Mexico, NMSU is hosting Dia Descubre. They are expecting about 150 students and their families to attend. It will take place this upcoming Monday and will be similar to the Aggie Experience Day. The goal is to give an overview of NMSU with details on admission and college-specific information.
An effort to combine his passion and to help the community has Las Crucen's Kent Wright come up with the program Bikes for Juarez.
News 22's Cristal Corrales has the story.
Chet Wright enjoys repairing bicycles. Back in January, he decided to put his passion to work and repair bikes for the children in Mexico.
One day I was at the recycle yard and picked up a bike that needed a seat. Came home and put it on the stand, and I started from there. Where are the most kids that need the most bikes? And so the idea of Juarez came up. I built this myself.
He built a shop next to his house, so it's a short trip every day to turn wrecked bikes into bikes that are almost good as new.
I always know where he is, because if he's not in the house, he's in the bike shop.
And Chet says it's a labor of love.
The nice thing about having the bike shop at home is there's no schedule, no boss, other than, the kids in Juarez, they're wanting bikes.
He has just donated his 100th bike and says it wouldn't have been possible without the help of Jane Fuller, the founder of the charity organization Siguiendo los Pasos de Jesús, based out of El Paso.
She took it across and she gave it to a man that has 5 kids that needed transportation to work. It's not just for the kids, but to help the adults, provide for their family.
Wright's Bikes for Juarez program has also touched the hearts of many in the community, including local business Outdoor Adventures.
We're a donation center mainly. Whenever they do need parts, we try to give them the best possible discount. If we can't just outright donate it sometimes.
Customers from Outdoor Adventures also help out by bringing in all kinds of bicycle gear.
A lot of people here just give their spare change and it adds up.
And the kids really appreciate it.
I took one bike down there that the kid was really proud of, and he took it inside his bedroom because he wanted to make sure his bike was going to stay around and he wasn't going to let it out of his sight.
He hopes that in the future he can teach kids in Juarez how they can fix their own bicycles. Maybe someday one of those kids can open up his own bike shop. Cristal Corrales, News 22.
If anyone would like to donate their used bikes or other bicycle gear, get a hold of us here at News 22. And stay tuned, Victoria will be back with your national forecast.
But first, artists in town have found inspiration in the place they call home. More on that when News 22 continues.
Las Cruces and El Paso share a lot of history. See why we say Texas history begins in El Paso on our El Paso Gold Heritage documentary series, broadcast Sunday nights on KRWG-TV. See Legends of El Paso's Mountains, Gunfights of the Old West, El Paso's Waco Tanks, Mexican Revolution sites in El Paso, and many more El Paso TV documentaries on KRWG-TV.
Saturday at 12 noon on KRWG-TV.
KRWG-TV public file is available to the public at 2915 McPhee Circle, Milton Hall, Room 117, on the campus of New Mexico State University. Regular business hours are from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Files are also available online at stations.fcc.gov.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Wednesday,
where news matters.
Many Las Cruces are more aware about local artwork.
And it all has to do with this past weekend's Holiday House. I was able to visit the art exhibition and hear from local artists themselves. It was quite a show this past Saturday downtown as more than 20 artists from the Picacho Hills Art Association gathered for their annual Holiday House expedition. There was basketry, gourd, metal, copper, acrylic paintings, and even pen art. Although the art is local, the artists who create it come from different backgrounds. Judy Bess is from Michigan. She retired to Las Cruces because the culture and landscape inspired her artwork. She said since moving here, the environment doesn't disappoint. Shirley Amboa works with copper. She says the Art Association is always looking for new members. The Picacho Hills Art Association plans to have another art show in early spring.
The holiday tradition at Brannigan Library will continue this Christmas season. The Thomas Brannigan Memorial Library will have the Midden Tree once again to collect warm clothing for kids. Last year's donations surpassed 400 items. If you would like to help, you may drop off your donation at Brannigan Library starting November 27th. And NMSU is hoping you'll be generous to the university. November 28th is the third annual Giving Tuesday. Last year's event brought in more than $2 million in gifts for scholarships. There are many ways to donate, including online. There are fund matching opportunities that will boost some of the scholarships and causes they support, dollar for dollar. Tomorrow, the American Cancer Society is hosting the Great American Smokeout.
In today's Health Minute, Mary Maloney explains how the smokeout aims to help people quit smoking.
Put down that cigarette and join the Great American Smokeout. Since the 1970s, the American Cancer Society dedicated a day to kick the habit.
I think we need a reminder to quit. I think people often have it in the back of their minds, but it's really nice to get a push.
According to the American Cancer Society, about 36.5 million people in the U.S. still smoke, but stopping can be tough.
For most people, they really need to make a plan and they need support. So it's very important that they think through how they're going to quit and then follow through with that.
Smoking is associated with at least 12 cancers, and according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it kills 480,000 people in the U.S. every year. But experts at the Cancer Society say quitting, even for one day, helps your health.
If you quit before the age of 35, you can gain most of the life years lost from smoking tobacco products. So you're looking on average of a 10-year loss, and you can gain 9 of those back if you quit. But even if you're older, you can still gain life years back. So there is a motivation to quit even well into your elderly years.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
Victoria is next with the weather.gov national forecast.
So we're about to go on break, and taking a look at this map, we'll see what the United States can be expecting on Thanksgiving Day. The winds coming down from Canada will be heading towards Kentucky and Tennessee, and this jet stream that we see here will be keeping Florida and the Carolinas with rain possibilities, and headed towards New Mexico. We'll be staying with mild and dry temperatures, but in my next map, we're seeing something completely different with places like Detroit and New York experiencing a cold pattern, and what that means is that they'll be having cloudy days with rain and waves of cold affecting them. So again, in my next map, if you're heading to any of these places, please be aware of the different kinds of conditions that they're experiencing, from rain possibilities to dry temperatures and those chilly winter fronts. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk New Mexico local temperatures. You're watching News 22 Wednesday.
travel along the Western Front in Lorraine, France, visiting the cities of Verdun and Metz, and experiencing World War I history in an active way on Travels with Darlie.
Sunday at 4 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
On Masterpiece.
You have responded to the call to defend your country.
Can he be trusted? More to the point, can you?
I love you.
Is he my son?
Who else could he be?
I may soon have a real battle to fight. Spare me this one.
Poldark, the season finale on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
There is a business that uses war based on greed.
Has corruption in the global arms trade.
They wanted 43 billion worth of weaponry.
Engineered war for profit.
These guys had a very long-term plan.
International covert payments going all over the world.
They make the mafia look like a bunch of schoolboys.
Shadow World.
Monday at 8:30 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
Welcome back. Now taking a look at New Mexico temperatures. In Farmington today, they are at 53 degrees. Santa Fe 46, Gallup 53, Socorro 59, Roswell 55, and Deming 64. Tomorrow in New Mexico, Santa Fe will be at 63, Gallup 69, Albuquerque 70, Clovis 71, Socorro 74, and Deming at 78. At our sister cities, Alamogordo will be having clear skies with a low of 43, and tomorrow a high of 74. In TRC, tonight a low of 45, and tomorrow a high of 78. In Silver City, tonight they'll be having cloudy skies with a low of 40, and tomorrow a high of 73. And in the City of the Crosses, tonight we'll be having a low of 44, and tomorrow a high of 76. Now we're going to take it back to Selena and Melissa at the desk.
Thanks, Victoria. Police are investigating after a Texas State University student was found dead in San Marcos, Texas.
That's the first story in tonight's Southwest Minute.
"20-year-old Matthew Ellis was a fraternity pledge. He was found dead on Monday. The university says he was at an off-campus fraternity event on Sunday. Police believe alcohol may be a factor. The university has suspended all fraternity activity until after the investigation. A suspect is in custody in the kidnapping and robbery of a 94-year-old Scottsdale lady. Police say Ian Michael Nielsen left the woman bound by zip ties and duct tape in the trunk of her own car for 6 hours. Police say he threw the elderly woman to the ground before tying her up. Nielsen is in jail awaiting his first court appearance. Police in Elk Grove, California are investigating an armed robbery at an electronics store. Police say 2 suspects entered this Best Buy on Tuesday night and started stuffing electronics into duffel bags. They tied up 2 employees with USB cables and phone cords. Police say no one was hurt. For the Southwest Minute, I am Arlen Barraza.
So our men's and women's basketball teams finally kicked off their season this past week?
Yes, it's time to attend those basketball games. And Nolan Fox is next with sports.
Yeah, thanks guys. Coming up in sports, we'll see how the women's basketball team did yesterday. I'll tell you all about it when News 22 Sports returns.
On Masterpiece.
Bassett is the new order. I am the old. He seeks to overthrow me. And? I would like you to help me prevent him. And how would I do that?
Dear Lord, my wife is unsuited to this life. Guide thou my footsteps toward a suitable replacement.
Since Aunt Agatha's death, there's scarce been 2 words between us.
Elizabeth is not a Poldark. She was. And so is her son.
Poldark on Masterpiece.
Thursday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
We have a story we want to tell you about a play.
The God of Vengeance.
Behold the true story of how a little Jewish play journeyed around the world, only to be shut down on Broadway in 1923.
For obscenity.
Now a powerful new play shows us what happened.
Please let me explain.
Look for the Tony Award-winning production of Indecent.
Isn't it good, Rivkele? Isn't it good?
On Great Performances.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back and hold on to your socks. I'm Nolan Fox with News 22 Sports. The New Mexico State women's basketball team is celebrating their first win of the 2017-2018 season. Last night, the Aggies beat Division II UT Permian Basin by a score of 85-58. It was also the first win at NMSU for head coach Brooke Atkinson. Gia Pack had a great game as she scored a team-high 18 points to go along with 2 assists and 7 rebounds. Next, the Aggies will head up the road to Albuquerque on Saturday to play the rival Lobos at the Pit. It'll be a tough task for the Aggies as the Lobos beat number 17 Marquette in their last game on Monday. 2 New Mexico State athletes from the land down under are putting in work. Here's Whitley Newberry.
Tim O'Donnell has found his calling on the football field. The newly recruited long snapper is in his first season at NM State. But he didn't always play American football. In his hometown of Queensland, it was a different style.
I started out playing rugby in high school, which is the main sport in Australia. Quite a big rugby high school, had a couple injuries where I thought I'd take some time off when I finished high school. Started working in a gym and met an American football coach who I was like, oh, that guy looks pretty cool. So I started talking to him and he's like, you look like a big boy, you can come play some football.
Tim played at 2 small colleges in the States and was looking for a new school. After a meeting with head coach Doug Martin, he knew this was the place for him.
He basically said, we want guys that want to work hard, that are under-recruited and have a big chip on their shoulder. And that was me, to the letter of my name. So, once I had that meeting, I thought, this is it. This is where I want to come and play.
O'Donnell hopes to continue playing football in the NFL.
While Tim is on the field, one of his fellow nationals is on the court.
Gabe Hadley is a shooting guard for the basketball team from Melbourne. Hadley says he used to be taller than most.
I think I started playing in around grade 3 or grade 4. I had a really good coach back then. I just liked him a lot and he just encouraged me to play.
Hadley was offered a scholarship from former head coach Paul Weir. When Weir left and coach Chris Jans was hired, Gabe had to make sure he was still a good fit for the program.
I liked him, I liked what he's about, and so I thought, yeah, I'll still come here. It's just got a winning history and a lot of good players come out of here. It's got a good culture.
Hadley says basketball is a lot different here, and the adjustment hasn't been easy.
It's a lot quicker and faster here and definitely a lot more athletic people, so I've had to adjust a bit because I'm a bit more slower than everyone now, but it's still, I like it here.
He thinks he can add to the team.
Shooting-wise, put some points on the board from the three-point line, that's what I'm supposed to do.
And if he's successful as an Aggie, he hopes to one day get a chance at the NBA. Whitley Newberry, News 22.
The New Mexico State swim team has some new recruits coming in for next season, 3 of them to be exact. The Aggies have reeled in Lauren Hemborough out of Ontario, Canada, along with Aram Oliva Aoun from El Paso and Niza Kusajin from Slovenia. Meanwhile, the current Aggies have a meet on Saturday against Northern Arizona at the New Mexico State Swimming and Diving Complex. The Aggie football team is coming off another bye week this weekend as they are preparing for a big game this coming weekend against Louisiana. In their last game, the Aggies beat Texas State 45-35. They can clinch a bowl eligibility with wins in 2 of their last 3 games. The other 2 games will be at home against Idaho and South Alabama. Their record on the season stands at 4-5, and entering Saturday's game, they are a 4-point favorite. Meanwhile, the Ragin' Cajuns are also looking to keep their bowl eligibility hopes alive at 4-5 also. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action tomorrow. Still ahead on News 22, Vicky will be back with a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, we know a place where you can buy wizard supplies for your next trip to Hogwarts. More on that when News 22 Sports continues.
Next time on A Chef's Life. Green onions have a wonderful aroma, and I love to grill them. We're doing a fundraiser, and the most exciting part about this is that we're doing the dinner with the Ava brothers. I can clog right now.
Saturday morning at 10 on KRWG-TV.
Comedic royalty convenes in Washington to crown a new king of comedy. Join Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Martin Short, Amy Schumer, Jimmy Kimmel, Paul Schaefer, and more to celebrate David Letterman. It's the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize.
Monday at 7 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
Let's take a look at our top stories. Cristal Corrales introduced us to the Las Cruces resident Chet Wright. He turned his hobby of repairing old bikes into a way to give to children in need. Whitley Newberry took us inside the lives of two NMSU athletes who hail from the Down Under. Tim O'Donnell and Gabe Hadley are both from Australia. Tim plays football and Gabe plays basketball. And Las Cruces seems to be a place that attracts artists. Selena Quintana took us to an event this past weekend where painters living in Las Cruces showed off their art.
A Seattle dad's woodworking project has turned into something truly magical. That first began as a gift for his daughters. Jonathan Chambers' project to recreate the magical shopping street Diagon Alley from Harry Potter movies has grown into a place where people can visit for Halloween. With popularity of the mini wizardry world, Chambers is able to raise funds for local schools and pancreatic cancer research.
So tell us, Victoria, what are we're going to look at?
So definitely how you guys were saying, we're feeling those winter temperatures, but of course we're here in New Mexico, so we're mostly sunny. But starting on Saturday, we're gonna be at a high of 67 and a low of 37. And then on Sunday, we'll be at 63 with a low of 36. And on Monday, we'll have a high of 66 and a low of 42. So for Thanksgiving, we're going to be feeling those, winter temperatures.
Well, as long as I hear sunny in the forecast, that's all I'm good at.
Yeah, right. We're used to it.
You can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News22.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram for show updates and the latest on what the News22 team is up to. That's all for News22 Wednesday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Tune in tomorrow for News22 Thursday as we take a look at news from across the Southwest.
I'm Melissa Barraza.
I'm Selena Quintana.
And I'm Victoria Valderrama.
Good night.
Good night.
This news brief in Español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Los saluda Alfredo Nahum en este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Un adolescente de 15 años de Hatch desapareció el pasado sábado y está siendo buscada por detectives del condado de Doña Ana. Familiares de Yasmín Gutiérrez declararon que el sábado al despertar encontraron una nota de ella diciendo que había sido forzada a huir con su exnovio José López, de 17 años, quien también se hace llamar Che. En la nota ella explicaba que López dañaría a su familia si ella no cedía a sus amenazas. Ni Gutiérrez ni López han establecido comunicación alguna con sus familiares desde el sábado que desaparecieron. Cualquiera con información sobre el paradero de estos jóvenes, por favor, comuníquese al número del programa Alto al Crimen de Las Cruces, el cual aparece en su pantalla. Información que pueda contribuir a la investigación será recompensada. Y en una nota ocurrida también en el pueblo de Hatch, la Corte Magistral del Condado de Doña Ana ha expedido una orden de aprehensión en contra de un hombre de 68 años. Patricio Rivera es acusado por la nieta de 15 años de su novia de haber intentado abusar sexualmente de ella. De acuerdo a la investigación, el incidente ocurrió en Vianes Road, donde el adolescente se encontraba durmiendo cuando Rivera entró al cuarto aproximándose a ella. Después de esto, la víctima logró escapar y entró al baño, donde se encerró y llamó a su hermana para pedir ayuda. Ahora Rivera enfrenta diferentes cargos criminales. Esto ha sido todo para Noticias 22, Alfredo Nahum.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.